Hey guys, KiwiSylveon, and this is it. This is the last route in Seduce Me 2, and it's purple, which is my favorite color. Okay.
Hold on there! First of all,
Hi.
have you...
Yes, I know.
Oh,
okay, go away.
You do know this is Diana's route, right? The succubus princess that tried to bring the boys back to the demon world?
Yep, I know.
Oh, awesome! Alright then. Diana's a very interesting character, huh?
Yep.
Anyway, I have...
I'm good.
I think that should be everything.
You forgot?
Hi, Diana.
Oh!
It's I do.
Thanks, Di.
Do not call me
I
Di.
can call you Di.
Anyway,
Woo. Now, the one that's with Diana is Lily, of course. Because that's the only name I could come up with. I would choose Mika, but Lily, Mika, 4 letters each. I was in love with the succubus. It was true. I had fallen for the charms of a succubus, and I was about to dive headfirst into the demon world with her to save her kingdom.
Do you have any regrets?
None. I smiled as Diana held me in her arms and carried us both through the night sky. We had shared a sweet kiss, the first of hopefully many in the future, and were about to cast a spell to enter the demon world. Diana looked to the ground that was far below us and pointed her free hand down towards it, closing her eyes.
Revetara tenebras, gelato locum, pater portas.
Say what? As the last words left her mouth, a large purple pentagram appeared in the grass before twisting and becoming a black void. I gripped onto Diana, scared at what I was seeing.
Last chance.
I gulped at the sight, not sure of what to make of this. Was this really what I wanted to do? My curiosity, however, guided my decision and forced me to take a deep breath. I closed my eyes and let a calm wash over me before looking up at Diana. Let's go. Diana smiled and wrapped both arms around me, laying a protective hand over my head.
Hang on.
I have no choice in the matter, Diana. I tightened my grip on Diana, obeying her command. As I held tight, I felt air quickly begin to rush past our bodies as Diana tilted back and began to let us fall towards the ground. Thanks, Diana. Thank you, Michaela, for making us fall. Literally. Was she insane? I looked at Diana, seeing her smirk at me before closing her eyes. I did the same, naturally preparing for an impact with the ground. What I felt was a cool rush of energy brushing over my skin, as if I had fallen into water. I slowly opened my eyes and found myself staring into a vast dark space, holding on to a woman who was no longer wearing clothes. I was clinging to a woman who had no clothing, but instead had purple marks across her skin and horns adorned I can't speak. Adorning her head. However, I could tell that this woman was still Diana, just by looking into her eye. Diana smiled at me and kissed my forehead before tightening her hold on me and muttering softly.
Ad Lilith Castra.
To Lilith Castle, I'm assuming that's what it is. I held onto her body as I felt us begin to move through the space as if a giant fan had pushed us forward. Onward we continued through the darkness, with me unsure of where we were going and Diana guiding the way. We began to slow, and soon a small light appeared, slowly growing as we got closer to it. I had to shut my eyes as it began to consume us. I felt weightless. I couldn't feel anything except the woman in my arms, and it felt somehow exquisite. I wanted to drown in this feeling, become lost in it. However, our journey through the light was coming to an end. The light around us faded away, and I soon found myself lying on Diana as she lay on the stone floor. The air, however, smelt of fire and blood. Nani? I looked up, seeing fire everywhere in sight. What the hell? This was a demon world?
Ezauer!
Hello? Hi, man. A loud shout forced me to look over and see a man running at me with a spear and a rage-filled expression. I screamed and rolled off of Diana, scooting away to avoid being skewered. As he continued towards me, I screamed, "No!" I looked up to see Diana kneeling in front of me and gripping the man's spear, pointing it away from her. The man stared wide-eyed at Diana as she glared back.
My lady, you live?
No!
Of course I do. I told you I would return, and thus I have.
The man gave a small sigh of relief, lowering his weapon and propping it up to lean against. As I examined him, now that he wasn't gunning for me, he was wounded and exhausted, panting heavily and gripping his spear tightly.
I'm so glad.
As he finally toppled over, Diana gasped and washed over, kneeling beside him.
Saero!
I rushed over as well, wanting to see what was going on. Who was he? Why did he attack me? Why was the room on fire?
Saero, what happened?
We were attacked by the Demon Lord. He took advantage of your absence.
I began to cough violently. We needed to get out of this room, wherever we were. Diana, we need to get out of here. Hello. Diana nodded and grabbed my hand and Saero's, chanting under her breath. The room around us began to shift, as if we were changing instead of us moving. Soon we were outside the castle, staring at it as flames erupted from each window. What was happening? Diana's face was of pure shock, staring at the castle in absolute terror. All the color, beside the purple marks on her skin, had faded to a pale white in horror.
We drove them back, but the flames are too powerful.
I can deal with it. At that moment, something in Diana's eyes changed. Her anger sparked, and she stood, quickly walking around us towards the castle. Diana!
Come! I command thee, white winds! Crush these spires beneath your hands!
As I stared as the wind in the air quickly began to pick up, and a purple glow began to surround Diana's body. It was like a storm was rushing toward us, but there was no rain or thunder, just wind. The winds forced back the flames that danced on the windows, and smoke began to rise from each one, signaling the death of the fire. The windows continued to be filled with the wind and air, most likely to kill the flames deep within the walls. I, however, could only stare at Diana. Her body was rigid, and her gaze was intently focused on the stone castle. Soon the winds began to die out, and all that was left was smoke rising from the windows into dark purple and black sky. Nice.
You did it. How?
Don't question her, Saero. Diana looked to Saero, intensity still embedded in her eyes.
Where are the king and queen?
I heard Saero's breath hitch, and I turned to look at him. He had a look of pure pain and guilt. What had happened? Diana walked over and stared down at him, now almost glaring daggers at him as she clenched her fists at her side.
Speak, Saero!
The imp demons. While we were fighting the flames and the army, the imp demons snuck through our defenses.
My heart, despite not fully understanding the situation, began to tighten. Something was incredibly wrong. Saero shut his eyes as a pair of demons I assumed to be allies rushed over and began casting magic over his body, closing his wounds.
They snuck into their room.
Diana suddenly turned and bolted toward the castle, causing me to jump up. Diana! I began to sprint after her, following her inside the castle and trying to keep up with her. Her panicked breaths kept me following her direction, despite her fast twists and turns through the ashy corridors.
No, 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 no.
I could hear Diana sobbing, praying as she ran. I did my best to keep up, not wanting to lose her, not wanting her to be alone right now. We turned into a long hallway that had a pair of golden doors at the end. They were unscathed, as if the flames had not disturbed the door, or perhaps the room behind it.
Please be alive. Please!
Diana bolted for the doors and began pulling them open, grunting at the weight. I stopped running, skating forward from an abrupt stop. Whomever she was trying to find alive, I hoped that they were her as well. As the doors finally opened, however, the foul stench of blood erupted from behind them, the scent filling my nostrils. Gah! Diana flung the doors wide open and could only stare at the sight we both saw. Blood. Blood covered the floor, the walls, the ceiling. The entire room was painted in gore, skin, bone, and a massive amount of blood. Only 3 things, barely coated in red, stood in the middle of the room on the ground. 2 broken crowns, and a small tiara that was barely large enough to fit a newborn's head.
No.
Diana slowly walked into the room, the blood on the ground painting her bare feet, and she fell to her knees in front of the items, staring down at them. I couldn't bring myself to enter the room with her. I watched as she lifted them to her chest, curling her shoulders over herself and shaking almost violently.
Father. Mother. Audibel.
As she continued to grieve over the ornaments in her hand, a dark, almost deadly and evil-looking aura surrounded her body. It began to flicker and grow. Like a dark flame that wanted to engulf the room she knelt in. As it reached an apex and began to violently flicker through the room around her, Diana arched back and screamed to the ceiling, her voice heavily laced with magic, pain, and rage.
I'll kill you!
Nice job, Michaela. Watching her body burn at the intense black and purple flame energy made my heart stop in fear. I had never seen her like this, and I'm scared as where her anger would drive her next. Now, it doesn't really matter for Diana which one you do, but considering Lily doesn't want her to be alone, she would stop her. As heartbreaking as the situation was, I couldn't let anger consume her. Not like this. If she wanted to vent her rage, then it was better to aim it at the ones who wronged her, not to let it burn in the room where her family died. I stepped into the room, blocking the waves of energy from my face with my arms, and eventually made my way to the screaming Diana. Diana! My words couldn't reach her. I stepped closer, almost towering over her, before dropping to my knees, bracing myself, and wrapping my arms around Diana. Her screaming stopped, and her body froze within my arms. Diana quaked like a shivering child in my arms as I pressed my forehead against her hair. Diana, we'll get your revenge, but you must save that rage for the fight. I was met with silence as my reply. After a moment, Diana finally slumped into my arms while the energy around her died out.
You're right.
Yay! Of course I'm right. Diana and I left the room with her unable to turn around and look back. We walked through the ashy corridors of the castle, Diana silenced by the sight and by her own grief. My heart was heavy for her. Still, the Demon Lord had done this and was still a threat at large, and who knew when he would return. We'll find that out. I think this is a little early. I didn't put a timer. I'm completely dumb about that. Usually I'm good about having like a timer for like 30 minutes, so I have no idea. So this first part's going to be a little short. So remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you're on the SS Sienna ship. I know I am. So yeah, bye!